So I want to get started with the close. And first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back to 7th grade when the little boy passes the note 2 seats over to the little girl. And on the little note, it says, "Will you go with me?" Check yes in the box or check no. Remember those days? How simple is that? And that's what we're going to talk about with the close, because the little boy actually had the nerve to ask the little girl if she would go with him. And that's all we have to think about when we're thinking about this close, is that most people don't actually ask. And a lot of people that tell me they have a hard time with the close is because I ask them, do you actually ask the person if they'd like to join you in the business? Do you ask them to get started? And if there's one line I have used in the last 6.5 years, and you better write this one down, I've used it, I will always use it, it will always be my close. And that is, let's get started. Did you hear that that wasn't even a question? I don't say, are you ready to get started? I don't even like the question of, on a scale from 1 to 10, where do you see yourself? Because a lot of times they'll say 7, because 7's a really easy answer, or 5 is a really easy answer to give. I don't even ask that question. I always just say, let's get started. And that has worked for me. And I've probably said that in any presentation, probably, oh my gosh, 7, 8 times. But I want to walk you through this because it really starts with a mindset. I want you to think of when my son, he's 14 now, but when my first son, when he was 2 years old and had his very first ice cream cone, he had this ice cream cone, and I was so excited to give my little kid an ice cream cone for the first time. And I'll never forget what happened. He was sitting outside. It was really sunny. It was a really hot day. And he looked at it, and it kind of dripped on his hands, and it was cold. It felt really good, didn't it? And he looked at it, and the first thing he did was this. Put it right on and just started rolling it around. And I'm like, what did he, well, he put it on top of his head. I'm like, oh my gosh, Isaiah, what are you doing? And it dawned on me. He had never had an ice cream cone, so he didn't know what to do. He didn't know that you lick it and then it tastes really good, and all he needed was one lick and it's all over. We all love ice cream. But it dawned on me that, you know, people don't necessarily know what the next step is. They don't know what to do until we are there leading them to that next step. Okay, so with this, number one is, they're really testing your belief. Now, I'm not going to go through objections and resolving concerns because I know we've already hit on that before, but those kind of objection and resolving concerns go right into the close. And so you must really question skillfully and then listen carefully when after you're giving this presentation to find out what somebody needs. And really with this is that I want you to have a mindset of this, that you have a gift to give. We all have a gift to give, but we can't be the gift that we want. It has to be the gift that they want. And if you're very skillfully asking questions to find out what they want, then you can give the gift that they want. Okay, and I'm going to get to that in 1 second. Number 2 is that you are not attached to their decision. And this is really, really important, because if you get very attached to their yes or no, then you're going to try to be getting someone in the business. And we don't want that. Listen, they're either going to do it or they're not going to do it, ultimately. And so you cannot be attached to the decision. 3, one person's not going to make or break your business. And the reason why I say that, listen, I've got some people in my business that are doing a lot of work. And yes, they do make a lot of my business. But if that person is not interested in doing this, they're not interested. They're never going to do it. So that person's not going to make your business, okay? And you also have to have the mindset that you are taking this all the way to the top. You're throwing the oars off. You're in that boat and you're going, okay? So you have to have that mindset. So again, really quickly, when you start this, you have the mindset that you have a gift to give, the gift that they want, okay? You're not attached to the decision or the outcome. This one person is not going to make or break your business, and you are taking this all the way to the top. Of course, that's that fear of missing out, if you will. Okay. So again, they don't know the next step, you do. And so with this, for instance, let's go back to you're giving a gift to give. So when you're asking throughout the process what's happening in their life and what they would want out of this and what type of income can they see themselves making from this, or what if they had all the money in the world, what would they do with their time? I mean, there are so many different questions that you can come up with, but one in particular that stands out for me was that I was sitting with a doctor, and this was some time back, and I asked him that question: if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? And he said, all I ever want to do is go and play soccer with my 2 young girls. And he said, I'm always working. I miss all of their soccer games. All I want to do, I love soccer. They love soccer. I want to play soccer with my girls. And that came out after a series of questions, but it finally came out. That was the hot button. So the close was extremely easy, because at the very end, all I did was flip open the computer and say, come on, let's get you back on the pitch with your girls. Let's get started. How simple is that? How is he going to go, nah, I don't want to play on the pitch with the girls. I don't want to play soccer with the girls. He just told me that's all he's ever wanted to do. And so if you're listening to what they want, you can use it. Hey, you know what? Somebody, maybe their pain was that they wanted to earn money for college education, for their kids' college education, or for, braces for the kids, or whatever it may be. It's very simply at the end, hey, let's make that college tuition a little less painful. Let's get started. Open up the computer and get going. Listen, they will, let's get those braces paid for. Let's get started. Let's get some more time for you to spend with your family. Let's get started. Let's get you on the track to better health. Let's get started. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on. It just depends on what that gift is that gives to them. What's the present they want? And so that makes it really easy, the let's get started. I was recently in a meeting that we gave, and it was a home presentation, and we had 7 guests there. And this doesn't always happen, but I'm telling you what happened is that we had 7 guests, and every single one of them joined that night. And it was energy, it was electric that night, but we ended it with, let's get started. I flipped open the computer, and the one girl was so excited, she jumped up and started the process. Well, when she started the process, guess what everybody else wants to do? They're gonna follow in suit. This is what we're doing at the end of the meeting. We're signing in, whether it was product or it was business. So let's get started has always worked for me. Okay. Now, with that, they're always going to test your belief. If they're not ready to get started, they're going to tell you right away, I'm not ready to get started. And they'll say, whoa, hold on. I have another question. And any question they come back up with is literally to test your belief. Or if you say, gosh, could I do this? Can I do this? I'm sorry, you guys, I thought I muted everybody out. Make sure that you are on mute. And if you're not, there we go. Thank you very much. Thank you, Amy. Okay, terrific. So let's see. So they may do this. They may just test your belief and say, gosh, I don't know, I don't know. They may ask at the very end, well, hold on, is it a pyramid? Is it one of those things? No, it's not. Let's get started. That's when I don't ever get, is it a pyramid anymore? But that one's just so much fun. So anyways, they're just going to test your belief, and they're also going to be testing their own thinking, can I do this? So unless you know why they want to do this, the close may be very difficult, and you have to go there in order to make this easier. So if you just take that, there are many different closes that you can use. But unless you know their hot button, I don't know any other close that works better than this one that I'm using, that I've used for 6.5 years here. I'll never forget, I have another example here. It was a veterinarian. And this veterinarian, she just wasn't given much, to the, I was just trying to dig in and find her pain. And I finally just asked her, I said, is your goal to grow your veterinary practice? And she says, well, absolutely. And I said, well, how do you network now? And she really was like, gosh, I don't know if I really network that much. I have my veterinary practice. I love animals, and this is what I do. And we started digging in through that vein. And what we really found out was the best thing for her to do was to create networking within her veterinary practice and become the expert on canine health. And then it was very easy, you know, which better yet, what if we gave meetings in your office and your patients brought friends? Would it expose your practice more than it is right now? She said, absolutely. I said, fantastic, let's get started. And it was really easy. Do you see where that's going? This should never be the hardest part. This should be the most fun you have. It's the most fun I have in the business. And when you are, and I know I'm supposed to be talking a little bit about the meeting after the meeting, and there is a definite meeting after the meeting, and it's where all the magic happens. So if you are actually in a meeting, I talked mainly about giving a one-on-one presentation, but if you're in a meeting, rule number one, do not ever end your meeting with, does anybody have questions? Because I guarantee you, you're gonna go down some rabbit hole that's gonna ruin the excitement of the rest of the people that are excited from one person. One person can sour the whole bin of, what is it, sour apples? So don't go there. Instead, say we're gonna be around for questions and end it and say, let's get started. And physically open up the computer and start the process right there. And then from there, really dig in and help people. Within that after meeting is where everything gets answered. But you're not just going to keep it going and going and going. Listen, you guys, it's either ultimately a yes or a no. And I'll tell you what, if it's sometimes, you know, listen, let's not even go to the maybe. I can't stand the maybe. Does anybody get the maybe and let me think about it? Or I want to try it first. When somebody says, I want to try it first, I said, oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're talking about here. And I open up a bottle and I give them one to try, give them some water. And I said, you just tried it. Let's get started. That's what I do. I mean, if they want to try it first, they want to try more. Oh my gosh, right here. True science, right on, and you'll smell it. That's great. You just tried it. Let's get started. I mean, you guys, you got to go there. You got to ask the question. What was the other one I just said? I said, yeah, I want to try it first, but there was another train of thought I had. I forgot what it was. Sorry, I apologize. So anyway, so with that, I really just believe that I got something I was thinking about. It's going to come to me later in the middle of the night. I'm going to jump up and say, that's what I was thinking, but that's okay. So anyway, so if they want to try it, all right, let them try it right there and get going. But really, you've got to take them to that point and ask every time. And like I said, it's not really asking, because if you ask them, are you ready to get started? It's that's what it was, a yes or a no. I don't like maybe land. Nobody likes maybe land. Maybe is meaning it's not important yet. That's all that is. So if they say, well, maybe, and let me think about it, it's just not important yet. You know, it's kind of like on the radio when you hear a song for the first time and you go, what the heck is that? And you turn the radio station. And then the next time you hear it, you go, oh yeah, it's kind of more familiar. All right. And then by the fifth time you hear it, you're like, I'm rocking out to this thing. It's my favorite song. It's because it's become more familiar, and it's because it's become very important. So maybe just means it is not important to me yet. And what I mean by that is even a no is definite. And most people, they have a real problem just saying no. And they may say yes, and then they get started, or they may give you a no, which is fantastic, because then you can move on. Or they give you that maybe. No one likes maybe land. Get them out of maybe land by asking more questions. So let's get started. That's my line. I've used it forever. Go use it, take it, and learn. All right.